everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. I am Garrett Zamora, and I am joined once again by my brother Matt. Matt, thanks for coming.
Oh, no problem. Happy summer, everyone, or at least those in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, that's right. So, on being on like the topic of just like kind of summer, and we were talking about like summer vacations and stuff like that. We thought we would take a break from talking about specific games that we're playing right now, and we wanted to we had some you had said something about just like, I think you used the term like summer gaming or you used a term like that, and I had like immediately like 4 or 5 things that I always think of when I think of like the vacations, like, you know, between school years and when we were camping and stuff. So I was like, okay, like that'd be a fun thing to sort of discuss. You know, knock loose some of those memories. Before we jump directly into that, I will give a slight update on what I am playing without going too much into it. Because
we always gotta have the gaming update, the State of the Union. So
exactly. Now I won't ask you for yours because I know you're still going through 16 mostly that I've seen you playing. And I want to save that for when you're done so we can have all your raw impressions and that whole discussion. Because we'll for sure do like a spoiler mode type of episode, and we'll just talk about 16 once you finish.
That sounds perfect. All I'll say is I love that game.
Yeah, I've gotten a few texts from you when you got to the Titan part and the Bahamut part. And so I'm getting that sort of very like abridged update as you're going through. So yeah, it's my other friends that I talked to about it. One of them had finished about a week after I did, and the other one that we've been talking, we have like a little group chat, and we're just like keep asking him where he is in the game, you know, so we could talk about it. And he just finished like on the weekend. So we were able to talk a bit about all that with him.
So yeah, we'll do a full debrief. I think I'm close.
Sure.
Although I've said that several times, and I'm like, how long is this game?
But I don't know a non-spoiler way I could ask you. What's the last?
I'm doing like like this game speaks to me. It's like, oh, would you like to do 1,000 side quests before you go to where I feel like is the end?
This is a pretty spoiler-free way of asking. Have you gone to that eastern country yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're at least over that way now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're definitely like getting pretty far.
Yeah. I took a screen cap. I think I sent it to you through the PlayStation interface.
Oh, you did, and I totally forgot to see what it was.
I said
I saw your caption, but I forgot to open it to like see what the picture was.
Yeah, my caption was something like new logo for the podcast, or something like that. I don't want to say what it is in case it's spoilerific, but
pretty spoilery, but yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe during our spoiler episode, I'll put it up on that one so people can see it.
So everyone, stay tuned. That's the clickbait for you for now. Anyway, I was just at that moment, and it's cool for a really cool reason, but also just visually, I was like, what is this game? This game punches way above any sort of fight weight any game should be doing.
It's crazy. The budget in that game is just absolute madness with the stuff they pull off.
So okay, we'll call that my update. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll save all that for the spoiler episode. So for me, so I finished Elden Ring that I've been playing. One of those bosses took me about 4 days of game overs. About 15 hours or so of attempts. But finished that game. It felt really good. This will come out first. So I actually have someone coming on for a side quest episode that is like super into Elden Ring.
Oh, cool.
So she's gonna come on, and we're gonna talk about that game more at length. She also does a bunch of cosplay, including a lot of good Final Fantasy cosplay. So got my attention.
Nice.
And so anyway, I think that will be out after this episode. This will probably be out in the next couple days after we record.
I wrapped up your side quest for Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
But I haven't checked out your other one, and I'll have to catch up.
Sure.
I'll have to podcasting.
Sure, no problem.
Cool.
So yeah, that game was incredible. Does a really cool. I'll just say this quickly here. Does a very cool way of new game plusing where it's a really big map, and it's one of those games where the map like fills in as you explore.
Yep.
And I was kind of worried about doing like Dark Souls games always have really great new game pluses,
Okay.
and it's like I was worried. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna remember where stuff is. Like I'll have to just kind of. But it's like when you start again, you all of your map is still revealed. You just can't fast travel everywhere that you haven't been
Oh,
yet.
okay.
So it's just like such a small design thing that really made like the second. And I didn't go all the way through the second time. I just it's fun to go through the first little bit, and it's I say new game plus, but it's not like the whole game is harder.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean? So it's not like you're going against level one things, but anyway, so yeah, that was a really cool way to do that. Um, the PS5 upgrade for the Uncharted collection, the 4 and Lost Legacy.
Oh, I didn't realize there was a PS5 upgrade.
Yeah, it was
I saw.
on. It was on for like $15 or like $12 or something.
Yeah.
So I bought that because I haven't played Uncharted 4 since it came out, pretty much.
Oh man.
And yeah, it looks real good.
Oh man. Because
um,
I bought the like Uncharted collection of like 1 to 3, I think, on
like the
PS4.
remaster
Yeah, yeah.
collection. Yeah, yeah,
After I played 4, again, 4, one of my favorite games of all time.
yeah, yeah,
I love that. So then I wanted to go play the other ones. Again, they'd been kind of, I think we discussed, some of them were your Christmas lineup
yeah,
for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, but Uncharted 4 is so, I'd imagine it looks even more beautiful on PS5.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to look that much better because in my memory of it looked really good, but it also just is like runs a lot smoother. Like it's
Yeah.
a lot like it's like at least 60 frames.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. Anyway, been playing that a bit, and it comes with both Uncharted 4 and what's the one called with Zoe? I think Lost
Oh,
Legacy or something.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
comes as both of those, the
Cool.
upgrade. So I'll at least play through Uncharted 4 because it's been a long time since I played that. I played Lost Legacy like a year ago or something, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
But I will go through it again at some point because it just looks incredible. Um, and then they did a full on remake of Dead Space, which
Okay.
came out in like January this year, and it was on sale for like 35% off or something. So
Mm,
obviously, I bought that too.
why
Yeah,
not?
so I'm working on that right now. That's not a super long game. It's probably like 15 hours or something. Like it's a pretty normal, and but I can only play it for like 1 or like 2 hours at a time because it is terrifying. And the remake visual upgrade does not make it any easier.
And or make it any less terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lighting and everything. Yeah, it's absolutely off, like terrible. I There was a point when I used to stream a lot on Twitch where I did an all night playthrough. I don't remember if that was one that you were there for.
I think the only one I watched was when you played like Resident Evil something or other, and for the purposes of being scared and people watching your reaction.
Okay, so yeah, that was
Yeah.
a Resident Evil playthrough then. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
I don't remember which one it would have been, but probably like the original one or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I had that memory, but it was a different scary game that I did that you were there for. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm working on now. Armored Core comes out on like the 25th or something of August. And there's another game called Sea of Stars, which is very like it's an indie game, but it's like very obvious like Chrono Trigger inspiration
Oh,
included,
nice.
like Chrono Trigger and like Mario RPG because it's like got timed attacks and timed defense, and I think it even has a guest composer of the guy who composed the music for Chrono Trigger.
Oh man. Oh,
So that comes out later this month too. So I'll probably
cool.
pick that up. Those are my two games that I had where it was planning on picking up for
One
this month.
one very random thing, just this random quote from FF16 that I laughed so hard, and it has no business. It's not even funny. It was just like this. It was so random, and I had to like take a second because I laughed so hard. It was like you talk to someone in your hideaway, and it's like, oh, the maester or whatever said I could read all the books I could carry. This is all I could carry. And I just laughed so hard. This was all I could carry. This
Oh,
is such
yeah,
a ridiculously funny comment. I don't know why I laughed at it so much.
the just like the writing for like the banter and stuff is because so I found this out. Okay, we're gonna talk about it anyway, but just
Yes.
quickly, uh, watching interviews and stuff, they did the I think they did the English localization first before they recorded the
Oh,
Japanese audio for this
no
game.
way. Oh, wow.
And that's why the producer director says uh, he recommends you play it with English voices because it was
Oh,
written in English or recorded in English first, and the lip sync is only for English voiceover right now. Like if you put it in Japanese, the lips wouldn't actually match up
oh, no way.
with the
Wow.
dialogue. So there's a lot of like small things like that that may not have like if it was written in Japanese first and then localized, like some of that stuff wouldn't really translate, so you wouldn't even get a joke like that or
Yeah,
something like
yeah, yeah.
that. So I think that's why like some of the banter just hits a little different.
Hits more. Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
it's stuff that was written initially in English. So if they, if they know that would be a funny thing to say, like they'll do it, and
Yeah.
then Japanese will have to translate it to something that sort of makes sense given the context or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Um,
a wow, the tables have turned
yeah, yeah.
for that. Interesting.
And like
Cool.
one like that is just like Gav. I love him so much in that game. He's so good.
Hmm.
And there's like one point where he kind of gets the hint to like leave you alone to talk with someone,
Yeah.
and it's like the medic person, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's like, all right, like what happened to your arm or something, or let me take a look at that arm, and he's like, oh, how long do I got? Like it's like, can you save it or something? And just kind of like, kind of hamming it up or whatever. Just like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like those are little things that just exist because it was written in English
In
first. Because I
English.
don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that same joke would make sense maybe in Japanese, and so we wouldn't get it with that context or
Yeah.
just little stuff like that that makes the banter. Uh, Even like the Sid and Clive
Ugh.
dialogue is just so great, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like it really makes sense knowing that it was written in English first,
Yeah.
or at
Yeah.
least done the voiceover in English, so they could try lines different ways or
Mm.
things like that. So anyway, so yeah, we will talk about that
Talk
game
more
later.
later. God damn it. Let's focus.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so I don't really know. I don't really have like major structure for what to talk about when, but uh, I'll just go through one or two, and then if you have some that either you remind my stories remind you of, or if you just have other ones that you thought of,
Yep.
we'll go with that. But so I want to start with. So I have a very distinct memory regarding Mario RPG,
Mm.
and I wanted to mention that because they just recently announced like the full-on remake of that game
This looks awesome.
coming out this year, which is amazing. Even all the music is redone.
Hmm.
So um, I have a so we've talked about this before on the podcast where we would go camping a lot in the summer. Like it was like every weekend, and usually by the end of like the time doing all that, it was often like we would go on like Wednesday, to
Yeah.
these, we would go to these like bluegrass festivals or campgrounds or whatever. As like we would go on like Wednesday and then be
Yeah.
there like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
come home Sunday, unpack the bus on like Monday, get ready
Yeah.
Tuesday, and go back to another one on Wednesday. Like it was
Oh,
like,
it was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like 1 or 2 days every weekend. It was like the majority of the week was spent at these places.
Yeah.
Back to back weekends, almost the whole summer, with maybe the odd. I don't know how mom ever accrued enough vacation time to make that work, but anyway, I think she literally saved it like all year except maybe a week around Christmas.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, I have a very distinct memory of getting the player's guide for Mario RPG
Yeah.
before we had the game, and because like
Yeah. Yeah.
it would always, like, when you resubscribed for the year, you would get like a choice of one or two of them that you could pick or
Yep. That's
something.
right. Yep.
And I remember we got that one year, and in doing so, um obviously, like, I read that thing like cover to cover before I even touched the game.
Yeah.
And I remember having that. I forget which festival it was, but it was at least two that I have like vivid memories of, like, because it was like really rainy one weekend, so we were like indoors, like
Yep.
we didn't go out and do stuff as much. And I just remember like sitting on that couch in the bus and like on like a rainy, evening or whatever, and like they were going out to listen to music and stuff, and I was like, I'm reading this entire guide.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
I'm
I
gonna read and scrutinize.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
And memorize. Yeah.
I read that thing like probably 5 or 6 times cover to cover at least, before
Awesome.
we even. And then I remember it was like it was after one of those festivals when we were coming home, and I don't I must have just begged mom. I think we would have rented it for. No, we definitely rented it first. We talked about that. So I must have got her to rent it at some point, after that.
Yeah.
After obsessing over it.
I,
It could have been that we rented it and then that was like just a taste. And then I was like, wanted the guide and I was reading it because I definitely remember like begging her to buy the game for me.
yeah. Yeah.
And that would have been during the summer. So I think we probably rented it and was like, I want this game now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I can't quite remember, yeah, the chronology of any of that, but yeah, I do remember the guide. I remember we had several Nintendo Power players guides, like that one, Chrono Trigger,
yeah,
um, and a couple others. But I remember I mean, they're so well done, and like just like the
yeah,
production values, like some of the other usual suspects at the time were fair enough. Here's what you need to know. Here's the codes. Like, not going to make it super pretty or anything. Just here you go. But Nintendo Powers, uh, whole, they'd have huge, like just like images all over the place.
yeah.
Like, it was really
So much
well
art
done.
is
Yeah,
sprinkled in there. That's art that like most of the time you wouldn't have seen because
yeah.
like maybe
Almost
it
like
was in the
concept art.
manual or concept art or things like that.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was really well done. And I remember like a big thing that I liked to do when we'd go on these summer vacays was um like either tracing or trying to emulate drawing and things
Yeah.
like that. And so I think we both kind of had like art books
Yes.
of like trying to draw Chrono Trigger stuff or FF7 stuff or
Yeah.
Mario RPG. Especially because they're kind of cartoony, so it was you could find shapes and patterns and
Yeah.
stuff, and it wasn't like trying to draw. Because I was a hack of an artist kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't draw.
We don't possess that skill.
No, but like, you know what? I can
Like copy
somewhat
it.
translate. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that was fun. And our rooms were kind of filled with that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I remember you had that Sephiroth one that was on
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 pieces of paper because it was so big.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But no, those are good source material for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, which is a good way to kill some time at a bluegrass festival.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when it was like some of those times when it was rainy or
Hmm.
if it was one that Jason and Melissa weren't with us,
Yeah.
we were always so much more bored when they weren't there.
Yeah, yeah.
which was
Uh,
rare. They were usually at the ones we were at, but
yeah.
so yeah,
And
so
I mean,
period.
and even when they were, I feel like we'd be playing like some of us playing cards and some of us drawing, one of
Yeah,
us playing
true.
on
That
one of
wouldn't
us playing
limit
on the
us.
Game Boy.
Right. That wouldn't
Yeah.
stop us from doing that one activity. In fact, I don't know if we talked about this before, but it falls in the context of summer gaming stuff. We definitely like first met Jason. Um, I like. I think I like had the Mega Man X Nintendo Power, the one with that silver cover.
Yeah, yeah.
um I like had that out. It's like we knew our parents like wanted us to meet these three kids, and we were just like, whatever, we don't need more friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like
We
mom
have the
kind of,
two of us. That's
yeah,
all we need.
yeah. So mom kind of like forced me out there, just like, just go, like, go say hi or something. And I
Mhm.
just like took my Nintendo Power out, and I was like sitting. There's like our buses were like. So I
Yeah,
think we may have mentioned, but like Jason Melissa also had an old school bus that had been gutted and turned into a motorhome, whereas we had a bus of our own, and our buses were like parked side by side, and there was like a little picnic table in
yeah,
the middle, and I brought my like
yeah,
Nintendo Power out, and I was like reading it out there, and he came out, and oh
yeah,
cool, what's that? Like, because they didn't play a lot of games or something, and
yeah.
so yeah, that was a Nintendo Power was involved in our friendship with
Summer.
Jason and Melissa.
Oh man,
Um,
for sure.
so
I didn't quite realize it was part of the origin story. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
And I
Um,
remember, I don't know why I remember so vividly, but it was definitely that Mega Man X issue, and I think I don't remember. I just think it's like your first issue of a new subscription, you'd have a special cover. So it's not like if other people may have had that one issue, I don't think necessarily they would have had the silver cover. But I think that was just one of ours that was because it was a new issue or something.
yeah, and I think you had to be a member.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think members only special cover or whatever. Yeah, it was pretty awesome actually. Um,
Oh, that could have
but
been what it was. Is if you were a subscriber,
mm,
you would get these random special covers from time. I think it might have been something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, do you- I remember too, like it's funny to I wish I could be a fly on the wall, go back in time, because there's so many nights where it'd be like we'd be in their bus. I vividly remember being in their bus for stuff like this because it was a bit more set up with the table.
Yeah. It was
The
easier to like sit around and like
kitchen
play
table was
something
better
or
set up for a family.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and we'd sit around like playing cards, and like we'd have like a episode of The Simpsons up on from on VHS up on the TV. One of us playing a game, maybe doing some drawing, whatever, and like our parents would keep coming in restocking their beers, or going around and just like man, they keep coming back, and it's just like beer after beer after beer. Our parents coming in, like of course, our music festival. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but anyways, that was pretty funny. Nips got had no idea what was going on there.
Yeah. Just like leave us alone. We're having fun in here.
Hmm. Come on, jeez.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, no. And I remember Link. What's the Game Boy Zelda? That's Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Um, that was a game. That reminds me of Summer
Yes.
Bluegrass Festival.
And I think that's where we briefly touched on the summer camping
Yeah,
conversation
yeah,
is because when we were talking about Game Boy memories, because yeah, that was one that I think I've beaten that Zelda more than any other game in the series because I would just have it every summer when we go camping, and I could
yeah,
beat that game in like a weekend
uh,
easily.
yeah.
So yeah, that one that was one that was a mainstay for sure. Yeah.
Um, I think we brought this up before previously as well, but like an interesting origin story with FF8 is like that was at Bluegrass Festival as
Yes.
well in the summer.
And we hooked it
It's
up with
like
that shitty little like 9-inch TV that was like high up. It was like on the
yeah,
ceiling. So
yeah.
like you could barely see it to begin with.
Picture, um Michael Scott in the dinner party episode with a tiny
Yeah,
little
but
TV up
smaller.
on yeah, but smaller and yeah, up on the wall playing FF8.
Cause
A-
I
a-
think you I think we literally like bought it on the way there or
Yeah,
something.
because it was
Um,
like it. That might have been the first. What came out? I don't know what came out first, Tekken 3 or FF8, but this
Probably Tekken 3.
probably Tekken 3.
Yeah,
So this is probably the second game that I ever pre-ordered. Um,
gotcha.
so it was like, okay, it comes out on Thursday, and the Bluegrass Festival is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, we'll pick this up on the way, and I'm not waiting until Sunday to play this.
No,
So
yeah.
I'll bring my PlayStation. I'll figure out a way to hook it up because it was weird, right? You'd have to
All
plug it.
the wiring was like in the wall and stuff. Like yeah, because
Yeah.
it was like this the stuff that like the VHS stuff that was hooked up was like down in this cabinet and it was up
Hmm.
here. So all the wires were going. So yeah, I don't remember how we got it to work, but we did.
I'm sure I beta tested it at home in
Yeah,
some sort of way.
probably.
Um, but it was like, okay, I want to be able to play this, and so like me, you, Jason, just like glued to the TV,
Yeah.
playing this game. And like I vividly remember, I can't think of like um the Ifrit like Guardian Force um
Little
level, like the
dungeon or
fire
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, without thinking like, yep, I played this for the first time
Yeah. On
in the
that little
bus
TV.
on that little, yeah, the little TV, yeah, yeah.
And I
uh
just remember us trying to understand the card game. And
oh
we
god.
just like when you play that for the first time, if you've never played 8 before, it's like just trying to understand the rules of that game was like so mind-boggling. Which like now you look at it and it's so simple, but just never had
It was
FF7
never.
didn't have like a consistent mini game all the way through. Like it just had a bunch of random ones, right?
Yeah,
And none of them
yeah,
were hard to understand. Like,
yeah.
this was like actually doing like math puzzles,
and
to a degree.
and neither of us really was big on any sort of like Magic the Gathering or any sort of
True,
like
yeah.
kind of card based game, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it was a little foreign to us, but so we kind of learned it with Jason.
Yeah,
uh,
because I just remember
uh
the three of us like heavy like thought, like just trying
yeah.
to like trying to figure out this game like while we're playing against an opponent. Like, well, if we
um
do this, I think it will do this, and then it'll do this, and do it, and none of
it's
that
like
happened.
yes, do that. Boop, 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 boop. It's like you lost worse than anyone in history. Is like, and then just us is like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Um, I, I I may be completely fabricating this, but like I feel Jason got a big kick out of the like
The
whenever it would
music.
start.
Oh, 100%. He, whether he was doing it ironically or genuinely, he
Yeah,
flipped his shit over that. And I just heard him doing that sound with his like you're just singing that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I do remember that. That's not
100%. Yeah.
not a fabrication.
They've added that exact game in 14 a while ago.
Hmm,
God, it was like 6 years ago now. But and it plays the like original that like that song. It's like not a
nice.
re-recorded or remixed version. It's just like the original like Triple Triad song. So I've definitely spent a lot of time just like collecting cards on that game because
Mm.
I loved that. Once you understood it and knew how to play it, it was like so addictive. To keep
You quick sidebar. You played the like remaster of that or
of 8.
of 8?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I is there some sort of trophy involved with like getting every card or
Not
anything
getting
like that?
every card. I think it might have been like to play everyone of that secret club.
Okay.
So I played it on Steam and on PlayStation, and the Steam one had more trophies that were
Hmm.
really dumb, and like there's no way I'm doing all of those. Um, I don't remember if the card related trophy was on that list or the PlayStation list. I'll when we take a break, I'll double check.
Okay.
because I can see the trophy list. But I think there was, I think there was a, but there was a card related trophy, but it was like not a stupid grindy
Not insane. Yeah,
annoying one.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I got the platinum for that game in like 30 hours like of playtime for the whole thing. So it was very fair.
and that's funny too, right? Like, there's it was supposed to be like there'll never be a remaster of this game because like the source code
They
is
lost all the
lost.
original assets or something. Yeah. Well, that's why they. So I don't know if that is true for the backgrounds, but probably for the character model, source
Mm,
code is likely what they lost, and
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
they look so much prettier
yeah,
compared to like the 7 port was just an upscale, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like that's probably why all the characters look way better in the 8 remasters because they had to do them. They had to
And,
make them again, probably.
and that was the reasoning as to why it will never happen, because they would have to do that. And
Yeah,
anyway, I guess another rule of the internet: if enough people bug you about it, so I have not played that yet. I played like an emulated PS1 version of it again, maybe it's a couple of 7 years ago or something like that. But
yeah.
anyway,
It it goes on.
it's pretty cheap.
It
Yeah,
goes on sale. I mean, a regular price I think is $20.
yeah,
It goes on sale for like when I bought it for like the second time on
yeah,
PlayStation. I think I got it for like $8 or something.
yeah.
Um,
No,
it's worth.
it's
It's a worthy, and you get like I think you get like auto battle, fast forward, like all
mm,
those little perks
mhm.
in that port. Um, so just which makes getting spells easier.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you set it to cursor to memory,
Memory,
and you
yeah.
just like hold X to draw the spell,
Draw
and it just
everything.
goes like I think it goes up to like 4 times speed. So yeah, it makes that part that was really annoying when you would see an enemy with a new spell. And I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna be here for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so it makes that part a lot easier.
Yeah. I do remember there's an awesome meme of like Renoa being like, "Oh, you're the most attractive guy here,"
Yeah.
and
The close up of the original Squall face.
pixelated squall. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a lot
Um,
of that comparison shot of that in the remaster, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
she was right the whole time
Yeah,
because he
yeah,
looks much better.
that's the obvious choice for the comparison of the
Yeah,
remaster. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. When that goes on sale again, it's the remaster is excellent. I think the music isn't changed; it's all the original music. But just the visual upgrade alone is
Yep.
very good.
That music was really good. Like I have kind of no problems with that
No,
music really at
uh,
all. Yeah.
and from 7 to 8, it's like there's a noticeable jump in like recording quality. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how much of it is real instrument recording and how much is like made in a on a computer kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it definitely has a more authentic sound compared to like 7 sounded way more obviously like synthesized like
Yeah. Yeah.
on electronic keyboards or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so 8 just has that a little more of a like a more full sound
Yep.
and authentic sound to it. So yeah, it
Yep.
didn't need to be updated. I didn't like it. Didn't bother me. It's just one thing that they didn't remaster is necessarily the music, but
Yeah.
I don't think it even needed it quite honestly. So
For the amount of effort they put in everything else.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even
Yeah.
think about it because everything else just looks so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
the
Sorry. So that's the
yeah,
FF8 sidebar for
yes,
summer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that fits in with the camping discussion too. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Um, one other one that I have that's really vivid is so when we were like God, this would have been probably like grade 7 or 8, maybe grade 6. So like when we first discovered emulators, now like
Mm,
I honestly don't really emulate games anymore. And only if I own a copy of the game, you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
I have more respect for developers now that I don't want to like steal from them.
Yeah.
Um, but and that's why like I'll only ever like emulate if I'm like streaming it or recording something off it or whatever. But
Yeah.
back in like grade six, that was like a new thing that no one really understood, and we
Oh
didn't,
yeah.
we didn't know the moral gray area necessarily that it was. So we definitely did emulation back then when we first discovered it, and it led to, which I'm pretty sure was both in one summer. Um, it led to two games that I remember like discovering through emulator because I don't think I ever would have bought them.
Mhm.
Um, was Harvest Moon and
Oh man,
yeah,
Harvest Moon. Yeah, yeah,
that and Earthbound are two that I'm pretty sure
yeah,
it was the same summer that I like discovered those two games just on like an emulator. And
yeah,
like I remember them consuming me that summer.
yeah.
Harvest Moon was like the classic example of like me seeing it in like Nintendo Power or something, because like that's where we would see games is in
Mhm.
there,
Yep.
and just being like, you're
It's
just a
stupid.
farmer? Like that's so
Yeah,
dumb. Why would you play that? And
yeah,
so I don't even know what compelled me to try it, to even like download it and give it a shot. I think I do remember liking the sort of the visuals of it. Like I did
yeah.
it did actually look like a JRPG, like the top down
And
kind of.
that might be part of it. It's like this looks like a JRPG. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And like, just to kind of add to your point, I think part of it as well is like, um, because SNES emulation worked so well on our pretty primitive computer,
Yes.
whatnot. It was kind of just like I can download like any game, and so just be like, man, whatever, like just like boom, 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 and yeah, I feel like some of the sites would be like, oh, this is a by rating or whatever, and it's just like Harvest Moon. Why the hell is this rated so high? Ah, whatever.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you
It's like
could you
it's
could sort
free.
them by how popular one was or something. Yeah.
It's free and I can download it in literally 10 seconds. So,
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. And then like, oh, the music in that game just like fills me with just thinking about that music. It's just like, oh, that's just so relaxing. It's just
Yeah.
such a comfortable
And
kind of, yeah.
it was such like a like, there are so many games that do that now.
Oh,
That's like
now it's like a
that
genre now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just so and I was thinking about this game because they just recently added it to the Nintendo Switch like online SNES
Yeah.
collection. And I was playing a little bit of it just here and there. And yeah, the music is definitely one thing that's like burned in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went like literally from being like, play a game as a farmer? That's so stupid. And then I
Yeah.
like tried it, and I that first day it was like 15 hours that I sat. I remember getting up in the morning. I had like a bowl of cereal or something. I was like, I'll try
Yeah.
this stupid game, and then it
Yeah.
was like mom calling me for supper, and I was like, what? Like I was
Yeah.
I like didn't even realize I was playing for that long, and then I played it until I went to bed. Like I just literally, I think I got through because I think in the game it's like you do 2.5 years, and then it's like that's the end or something like that. I think it's like 2.5 years, or maybe it's 2 years. But there's like a set amount of time until you can actually like hit credits in that game. And
Yeah.
like I got through the first year in that one day because I
Amazing.
just could not stop. And it was like we had a Nintendo Power. I think I actually had, yeah, I had it over here when I was playing on the Switch one. Um, this one even has Mario RPG stuff in it. Uh, oh, not that one. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there's like, let's see if this picks up on the, like it had all of like when all the
The festivals.
holidays.
Oh, wow,
It had
nice.
all those and like a breakdown of some of the little like sort of side questy things, how to like upgrade your tools, the breakdown of like all the it's kind of not focusing, but like all the prices for the
Oh, nice, nice.
it's not going to focus. Whatever.
No worries.
All the
Yeah.
prices for all the things you can grow and stuff. So I literally have it just sitting right over here because when I was playing it, I had my Switch on the monitor right here, and I
Yeah.
was just
Oh
like, oh,
man,
I need
that's
a
awesome.
refresher on this stuff.
I
Um,
remember when I was living in Japan, I was going to visit some friends. Um down in Hiroshima from Tokyo, and it's pretty far, but if you take the bullet train, it's like 6 hours.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll get in the bullet train. I was like, what am I gonna do for 6 hours? And kind of I had a few shows or things like, oh, I've got my SNES emulator. Oh, Harvest Moon. Maybe I'll dick around with that for 20 minutes. Then I arrived at my destination, and I was like, "Oh man, geez, Harvest Moon really helps to kill some time."
Yeah.
Anyway, it was awesome, and I played the entire way back, and it felt like 20 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it kind of just consumes you. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I don't. I think it took me like a week of playing, and and I already beat it. Like I already got to the end, and I know I did a second run at some point. I don't think it was like immediately after. But I remember because I didn't do a lot of the extra stuff, like get enough money to like expand your house all the way, because I didn't really invest time in the cows.
That wasn't your goal.
Yeah, and I
yeah.
didn't understand how much money you can make with livestock and like cows especially.
Mm,
Cuz time doesn't progress when you're in there like brushing them and milking them and all that. So it's like
right.
so much money you can make and no time passes
And
in
no time
between.
goes by. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And it's just so much. And then throughout the whole winter you can continue to make money when you can't grow anything.
Yeah.
Um and then like so anyway, I know I did two run throughs of it, but I just remember like in the middle of like summer when you're like harvesting corn, you
Yeah.
would like make as much fucking space as you could because it made you got so much money off of
Money from
corn.
corn. Yeah. Yeah.
And but it was like it would take like 30 minutes to water everything.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so when you would like you go to bed, you check the weather for the next day, and it's like, oh, we expect rain. It's like, yes. It's like I don't have to water shit.
It's
It
like
was like
so excited.
yeah, it's like the
Yes.
best feeling in the world not having to water that shit. And I just yeah, that was such like a one of those like gaming like those like gamer highs that you're just like
Yeah.
you see rain, you're like, oh, it just like
Yeah.
feels so good. It was such a win.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was always that I have when I think of that game, I 100% think of that
Summer gaming.
summer. And
Yeah.
Mike made a good point because he was playing it a little bit too on the Switch Online. So the Switch Online, you can actually make save states,
Oh,
and like
nice.
in multiple slots. And he's like, so, and I didn't do it because I just didn't have the patience and I wanted to play more of the actual game. If I was doing like planning on doing a full run, I would do it. But where you can literally clear your entire yard in the first evening if you just keep running. There's like hot springs and they replenish your energy
Oh,
because
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
you get
yeah.
tired or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you don't
So
have
you'd
to go
have
to
to
bed.
do clear
Yeah.
stuff until you pass out. Then you go up to the hot spring, you jump in and out of it like 12 times, and then come back. So it's
Yeah.
like you can fill out that or clear out your whole field in the first day.
Yeah.
It just takes like literally like 2 hours
Yeah.
doing that. And so he said he did that for the first night and then just made a save state for it. So if he
Oh,
ever wants to start a new game and like start over, like do another run, it's like you
he
can
doesn't have
skip
to
that
do
first
that.
night. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Which is a really good idea.
That is a really good idea. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I do like a full run of that game at some point and I do that on the first night, I'll do the save state thing.
It's funny. I was just like, I don't see how ties into save states.
Right.
And then it's like, oh,
Yeah,
do
like
that and
what can
save.
you
I was
do
like, oh,
wrong? And yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. That's amazing.
So yeah, that when that came on the Switch Online, I definitely played it just for like an hour or two for just the nostalgia of it. And it made I always think about the summer um when I think about Harvest Moon because yeah, that was a an
It
easy summer vacation like super chill game.
That game definitely has a summer gaming feel to it.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you say it, I was like, that feels like a summer game. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
There's a game that I can't remember if there's any original. I don't think so. I think it's just someone who loved Harvest Moon there's a game called Stardew Valley. That's like an indie game, and it's
Okay.
like it is very you like obviously influenced by Harvest Moon. Like it's literally like you're running a farm, and it's even a similar like pixely style, but there's just a
Nice.
lot more to it. And the guy made it like I think it's like 7 years ago, and just has like consistently updated it instead of just making a sequel or whatever.
Oh
And
wow,
I
cool.
own it. I never have really put in enough time to actually like try to play it. And so when I was thinking about this, I was like, man, I should really give that game a fair shot because I feel like it could just it'd be such a good game for just like I gotta kill like 20 minutes before I head out or do this or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
like that could be such an easy game to do something like that with. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make time for that game at some point because thinking about Harvest Moon and even playing it on the Switch Online, just like these games can just if you're in the right mood when you want to play them,
Yeah.
they can just like suck you right in.
Yeah. Um, and it's funny too, just the general vibe of like, you know, bell rings on the last day of school in June
Ah,
or whatever, until like Labor Day. It's just like, oh man, there's so much gaming that can happen.
yeah.
Like, there's so much potential for getting it. I got
Between
back to
now
school.
and September, whatever, there's
Yeah.
so much gaming that's gonna happen.
And then like that was always one of the like depressing. You're excited for new school year, but you're just like, oh, I can't just game all day.
I know, yeah.
you
Because now
know?
you have
Yeah.
homework too. It's not like you get home and from
Yeah.
work nowadays. It's like you get home from work and like, okay, it's game time until I go to bed. It's
Yeah.
like you had homework and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, and so there are a lot of games that have that kind of cool summer vibe that I still kind of feel thinking about them, like Harvest Moon, like Mario RPG or
I,
Link's Awakening.
I
Um,
feel like it was around like a late summer one year that we moved that TV that we got, like the 50-inch TV we had. I feel like there
that's
I feel like we moved it into the basement near the end of summer because I very vividly remember playing Final Fantasy VII on that TV down there with the setup. Or maybe no, because we had it down there kind of early. I think we rearranged it. And there's at one point where when we walked down the basement, it was on like the left wall. But then
yeah,
we've eventually moved it to be sort of more of at an angle, and then the couches were kind of back
yeah,
towards the
yeah, yeah,
stairs. I
yeah,
just remember like starting a new game of like Final Fantasy VII in this new setup and like getting pretty far and being like, "Fuck, I have to go to school tomorrow. Like, why did I
yeah, yeah.
start this? Like,
What I do? What am I doing? I don't. What's your end game here?
yeah, it was such a bad idea." And it made that like last day go by too fast, like before you go back to school or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. I didn't know. I just remember it was FF7 specifically that I was playing on that setup down there. But
Oh man, FF7, FF7 in the basement
with those
on that
big speakers,
with the big speakers on that 52-inch TV. Yeah, that's a pretty good.
yeah,
That's
it
a
was a
good
good
locked away
setup.
memory. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That that's pretty much paradise of childhood,
yeah,
locked away for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's take a super quick break, and then, like I said, I got Earthbound. I want to talk about a little bit, and I got two other funny stories involving summer gaming. So we'll
Awesome.
take a quick break, and then we'll continue on with that.
Beauty.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back. So talking more about our summer gaming memories, we talked a little bit about Harvest Moon, and like I said before, I'm pretty sure it was that same summer that I had also discovered Earthbound, and I feel like I never would have bought that game because like none of the art or the cover on the box
Yeah.
just struck me. It just always looked like weird to me.
Yeah.
Just because we were used to like the very stylized things
JRPG
like
and
Chrono
yeah.
Trigger and Final Fantasy even to a degree. Um, but so during this when we discovered emulators that first year, that was when I tried. I was like, oh, like I'll just because it was in Nintendo Power a lot. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it showed
Yeah.
up in a lot of issues they were just talking about different sections of the game, or they'd have little mini strategy guides for parts of the game or whatever.
And like
And
in the monthly rankings, like the top,
yeah,
it was always super high, and I was like, why is this effing game like it looks so dumb?
yeah,
And I almost just had like this uh
like a
grudge
resentment.
against it
Yeah.
because it just like it looked so, but it was just its style. It was kind of
Yeah.
doing its own
And I
thing. Yeah,
mean, we were like very impressionable, and we just latched on to, the like the Chrono Trigger and the more
yep,
anime looking style of those games. So,
yep,
because quickly after I started playing it, I was like, oh, this game's really good.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like the writing in that game is among one of like like the best localization jobs, and especially those days, in terms of just being genuinely funny.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like the whoever was doing the translation just like understood what, like they would have some really tongue-in-cheek like video gamey references that are
Mm,
like almost like fourth wall breaking, that like
yep,
mentioning the fact that you're in a video game kind of stuff. um and anyway, it was just so like the combat was really once you like understood how it worked, because we were also not used to that style where it's like you're essentially in like first person,
yeah,
in a way, like you don't see your characters, you just see your menus and you're facing the enemies straight on. And so we also just weren't used to that. But pretty quickly after a couple hours in, I got super hooked on that game.
oh yeah,
And I absolutely played it all the way through, which I feel like took me most of the summer, although it probably didn't in reality. But I mean, it must have been. I feel like it was at least like a 40-hour game for me, to
yep,
get through the whole thing. And it was not easy. Like it was actually pretty challenging.
yep,
Um, there's like this whole section of the game, because it is weird. It is, even though I liked it, it was still had weird stuff in it.
yep.
And one of those things is like there was this like cult in like the first maybe like four or
Yeah,
five
yeah,
hours of
yeah.
the game. I forget what the cult was even called, like the happy something cult or whatever. And it was just that they wanted everything to be blue. Like they just wanted to paint everything blue.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were just so creepy. And the music when you're in their area was creepy. It was
Bleep,
like
boop, 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 boop. Yeah,
it's
yeah. Like
just
it was
like
just like weird. Yeah,
very like unsettling is probably the word. And I just remember like there's like one point where you like sneak into their like one of their big meeting halls or something, and you go in, and when the screen comes up, you're surrounded by like 100 of them.
yeah,
And it like genuinely disturbed me. I was
yep,
like, I don't know why. It was just such like a weird vibe that game had in some ways, but it wasn't enough to like make me not like it. It was just like I don't know. It
and
just had such a distinct, weird feeling to it in a good way.
yeah, and it was kind of like almost a commentary on what cults are actually like. It's like, oh, they're creepy because for
Yeah,
other reasons,
yeah,
you know. But this one is just like more literal.
yeah. And it's just the
Yeah.
thing they wanted is to just paint everything blue, but they talk like a real cult
Hmm.
would, and like people are brainwashed the way like a real cult would be, and
Yeah, yeah,
so it definitely threaded that line.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just so much fun going through that, and like um it's like I always found like the concept was really interesting, where as you battle, the way you would get money is that you didn't get money as a drop in the fight. It's just you would accumulate money as you fight, and you call your mom on the phone, or yeah, I think it was your mom. It's like, oh, maybe it was your dad. I can't. No, your dad was to save. He called your dad to save, I think. But you're like, oh, I deposited $17,000 in your bank account. And you're like, thanks, mom.
yeah,
If you are on like a real long grind.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like you'd still accumulated money that way. And I think it would even be accessible to you, which is an interesting development, like smart development, where the because if that's how what was happening, you wouldn't have to wait for her to tell you how much money she put in before you can use it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so it would be there if you went to like look at your account, you'd see the money, and then she would tell you how much she put in.
yeah.
Which now that I think of it, that is like a very smart way of
Uh,
developing that. That is like it felt you know
realistic.
yeah
Yeah, yeah.
yeah
Or logistically sound.
yeah yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's maybe that's a
Ignoring
better
the
way.
amount of money, it made a
Yeah.
lot of sense. And so stuff like that was really cool. You pick like your favorite food when you make the game, when you make your
Mm.
file, and like when you go home, I think, and you can get like a free like full heal by your mom makes you that food.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
it's just like silly stuff like that. That was persistent throughout the whole game. But it was very much like I remember it was like Harvest Moon and Earthbound in like that one summer that I
Yeah.
just played the shit out of those games. And I had it just had such a blast. And I remember the music was actually decent in Earthbound. Like it was very different from the other RPGs we played, but it really like fit its world. And like game gets really dark at the end.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
super dark, where it's like, I mean, I don't care about spoilers because this game is old as hell, but it's like you have to go to the future to fight this guy that's trying to destroy the world. But in order to do it, you have to get your brain surgically removed and put
Mm,
into a robot, and they have to send the robot to the future. And I
yeah,
feel like it asked you like 5 times, like, "Are you sure
yeah,
I have to kill you basically to make this work?" And then put your brain in this robot, and all
yeah,
four of your party members are all like they all do it.
yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, it just gets like really dark at the end. I
I
bet if
remember
I oh go ahead.
like there a lot of things like you said where it would kind of like the in a normal JRPG, it would be like, oh, you're going to the final dungeon. Are you sure you want to go? There may be some side quests you want to do.
Right.
Yes, no. It's like, oh,
Like
okay,
point of
good
no
point.
return. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But in this, it would do that, and it's like, no, the story, even though there's no like repercussions or anything, it's just being weird for the sake of weird. Sometimes, like,
Yes.
are you sure? It's like, yes, of course. You're like, come on, move the game forward. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
funny.
Oh man. I think that is also on the Switch Online, and I've been wanting to like give that another go. But I, my barrier is that I know my brain makes it feel like it's a longer game than it probably is, and so
Mm,
I'm always like hesitant. It's like, I just don't have time
time
for
commitment.
it. But it's
Yeah,
probably like 20 hours or something. Like it's probably not that long.
yeah.
So I really should play it now that I got that Super Nintendo controller. I really should go and revisit some of these. But this year, just it's not happening. I got too many
Too many
games.
games. Too many
Yeah,
games.
too many games
Um,
this year.
this is really funny. You'll appreciate this. My buddy Robbie was like, "Oh, are you gonna play Diablo 4 after FF16?" And I was like, "Dude, I still haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet." And he was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, Jesus, like Matt, get your shit together. And I was like, I know, I deserve that. This is a hard year.
Yeah,
It's a
and
hard gaming.
and I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, oh man, because of how crazy this year is, next year will be a little more relaxed because, a lot of the big games that I follow won't be having a new game yet because we just got them, right?
Yeah,
And so I was like, I can catch up on some of my backlog or games I've been wanting to revisit.
yeah.
Uh, Obviously, Rebirth is coming out like early in the year. Um, they just announced this weekend Final Fantasy 14 expansion next summer. I was like, well, fuck. There's gonna be like 2 months of my life that I'm gonna be doing nothing but playing that game
Well,
when the expansion first comes out.
on theme, summer gaming.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That'll be my summer gaming for next year. And I literally went. They just announced it like this weekend because they have like a big. They do like a 3-part. It's like fan fest, and they do it in like Vegas, London, and Japan, like a couple months apart. And
Yep.
they do it every 2 years. So it's like when they do it, it's like the beginning of the marketing cycle for the next expansion. So we
Okay,
got our
yeah,
first look, very quick teaser trailer, first details, release window, all that stuff. And so they announced that, and so I went to my boss today, and I was like, "Well, it's like I know what my vacations are going to be next year." I was like, one in like March or April, and then one in like July probably. And
yeah.
so I got to save up my PTO for those because when the expansion comes out, that's
Well, that's
uh like
time.
like a time
Time is no
sink.
meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I took it for the current expansion, I had I think like 7 business days off, so like a week and a half. And I was playing that like 18 hours a day, like no, without even breaking a sweat. And I didn't do everything I wanted to before I had to go back to work. It took me
Oh
like a
man.
month to level all the classes up, and then they're adding 2 more in this. And I'm pretty sure. So I wanted to bring this up actually because it's sort of six related. So one of the bosses they showed artwork of that you're gonna fight is I will not be able to remember. It's like Valgermunda or some I can't remember how it's spelled.
This is for 14 or
Yeah, but
okay.
it's the Esper that's in the ice in 6 at the very beginning. Like
Oh,
it was called Tritalk on the first like translation,
yeah.
but in the
Yeah.
remaster it's like Valgamandra or something like that, and
Okay, yeah.
it's like looks exactly like that.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, so
That
that's gonna be one of the
oh,
bosses, and I'm pretty sure. So they usually tease what one of the new jobs or like the new classes are gonna be, right?
yeah.
And the main character is using like a weapon that we haven't really seen before. So we're assuming he is doing whatever this new class is.
Classes. Okay.
And it was like a sword, and someone thinks they saw like a pistol on his hip or something.
Yeah.
And so people are saying he's going to be like a pirate or like a swashbuckler or something like that.
Oh,
And
okay. Neat.
my because of his attire, he's got this like really like high collar and kind
Yeah.
of like loose like coat, and his like hair's all like slicked back and stuff. I honestly, my prediction is, and I hope it is because it'd be six related. I'm hoping that they call it Treasure Hunter,
Oh, that
and
would be
like
awesome.
because he
That'd be
definitely
so
has like a sort of without the bandana. I feel like he has type of like clothing that I would think lock, like
yeah.
what I would
It,
translate as that.
it'd be funny if like it was just like thief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
treasure
treasure
hunter.
hunter. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's
And so there
some meme.
is no, there isn't thief. There's rogue and ninja. So you absolutely they could make that joke. So that'll be my prediction is if that new one of the new jobs is treasure hunter.
That'd be
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, then I called it.
It's it certainly would fall within the it would fall better within the Final Fantasy lexicon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then like because there are games where like pirates are like bosses or something like
Mm,
that, but I feel like if they called it treasure hunter, that would have more root in actual Final Fantasy
yeah,
history.
yeah.
So anyway, that side
Uh,
note, it was just my point being, I was like, man, I should revisit some of these games. Like, oh, next year I'll be able to. And then it's like this expansion comes out next summer. Well, fuck, I'm not doing
yeah.
anything else next summer. Say goodbye
Well,
to my like June, July, August next year. We'll be busy. So
it's funny too. Like careful because all this talk might get me going back to FF6.
yeah,
Like you're really like, oh yeah, that opening scene, and you find the Esper and the
yeah.
walk, and oh, that's just such a good game. Yeah. Anyway, that might
and
get
then
added into my
they
backlog.
will obviously drop the 13 remaster next year. So I'll obviously be
You're
playing
calling
that.
it, calling
Yeah.
it here. Yeah,
Yeah. It'll be
confirmed.
it'll be first quarter or first half of the year, we got 7 Rebirth. Middle of the year we got it's called Dawn Trail, Final Fantasy 14. Holiday 2024, Final Fantasy 13 Remastered Trilogy. Boom. Let's do it.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Trilogy remaster confirmed.
Yeah.
It's funny when like I still picture FF13 as being like just as beautiful a game as like 16. Like
So
I'm
when
I'm
I
I'm it holds up, I'm sure, but
It
still,
definitely is still a very pretty game. I was setting up my PS3 on like when I got my new TV because I was going through all my inputs and like getting this settings right, and
yeah,
the settings on my PS, like when the PS5 game is up, is going to be a little different from an older system, right? So I have like
yeah.
literally one for my Switch, one for my PS5, and one for the PS3,
Wow,
that I like spent time on, and that was the game I was like, that's one of the games I was using as like reference.
celebrating.
And I was like,
Yeah,
man, it still looks like, if you look too close, you can see it's very blocky and very flat
sure.
textures and stuff, but like just at a glance, like it still is a very pretty game. Um, but yeah, man, I just give me a reason to revisit that on modern hardware because
Yeah,
you know
well, we all know your how your incentivization works. It's just like, oh, re-released with a
with
new hat, done done.
yeah, day one
So
purchase,
yeah,
pre-ordered. Yeah. Oh man,
uh,
I'm such a sucker for that game, especially.
well,
Um,
all those get the voice acting I think was really good in a lot in all of those the
yeah,
Final Fantasy 13 and 13 2. Ugh, who's the big baddie? Caius?
Caius. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, he was awesome. He was
Yep.
so awesome.
So
Uh,
he is actually voiced by Liam O'Brien, who does Kane in the Dissidia games.
yeah, yeah,
And he does a really big bad in Warcraft games, like WoW especially.
awesome.
I think he's started in World of Warcraft. He does Illidan's voice, who's like a really major player in like the lore of that game, and his voice is like excellent for
Oh
those
man,
characters.
his voice like stole the show in the entire game. Like
Yeah,
anytime Caius was involved, it was just like this voice is built for Final Fantasy.
and I feel like his, like, especially just like his delivery of his bad villain monologues, but it's
Yeah,
like even his story is really good. Like I feel like he
yeah,
does not get enough credit for how kind of tragic
yeah,
his
yeah.
story
I loved
is.
his story.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's also funny because Liam O'Brien is on Critical Role that I watch, right?
Mm,
And Laura Bailey voices Sarah
yeah,
in
yeah.
that, and they're like the best, like most heartfelt friends in the world. Those two,
Oh
like
really?
they are, because they're both on Critical Role, and they just
Yeah,
both are insanely good friends, and they're always teasing each other.
that's
So
funny.
it's really funny to see them
when
being like,
when you're literally protagonist
yeah,
antagonist of an
yeah,
entire game. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
That's funny.
Um,
Um,
so yeah, that was just God, that game is so good. Troy Baker also is the voice of
yeah,
Snow, which is
yeah, yeah,
crazy because he's such a prolific, big name actor on so many games, and like he was the first character that I like looked up, because I think I talked about this before about why I love 13 so much. Is
mm,
like I started like believing these were real people because of how good the voice work was, right?
yeah,
It
yeah, yeah,
wasn't such cheesy dialogue or stilted delivery that because they had done it a couple times now, so the
yeah,
technology was better and just they were better at doing it.
yeah.
And so it's like he was the first one that I was like, man, who does this guy's voice? And I actually looked up, so like he's the first person that I knew, that I learned who Troy Baker was,
The first VA that you kind of committed to memory, kind of thing.
or at
Like,
least the
yeah,
first time I looked up, the first time I found out who Troy Baker was as a voice actor,
ah,
because I wanted to see specifically who made. Because like Lightning was the first one I actually like looked up, because like I was
sure.
just obsessed over that character.
But no,
Um,
Troy Baker. Like, I mean, it's Snow. It's Uncharted.
yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, he's the brother. That's right.
yeah, yeah,
Holy
yeah,
shit, I forgot that, because he
yeah.
just masks
He
his
plays
voice.
Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He plays his
and,
brother. Yeah,
and then but obviously Joel.
and Joel.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
insane. And he's done so many. It's insane how many voices he's done.
Man, I can't think of who it is right now, but like someone I know had just started um Last of Us 2. And I'm just like, oh, I would just kill to be in your shoes. Like
Yeah,
I think
just started. Exactly where did you get so far? Like, how
yeah, yeah.
early are you? You'll.
Because there's a big point where you are going to really have a visceral emotional
Yeah, that's the word I
reaction.
was about to use. It's like, there's a very visceral point in that early on. Just started.
Yeah.
That you'll have a very different reaction to
Oh
your
man, but
experience so far.
I've told this before, but it's worth re-mentioning. It is like that year, the video game awards. It was like,
Yeah, yeah. That
uh,
versus Seven remake.
yeah,
Yeah,
Last of Us 2, some remaking. I was like, oh come on, like, and I love Last of Us,
yeah,
Last of Us One. Like, I have no ill will against it, but my heart lives and dies by FF7.
yeah.
Um, and then when Last of Us 2 won, I was like, oh come on, this is bullshit. And
And
then
you hadn't played it yet.
I hadn't played it yet.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't play it for quite a while because I played FF7 remake about five
Yeah.
times over. And then played that game, and I feel like when it rolled credits, I was just like, damn
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
realizing exactly like, oh, Jesus
I
Christ.
think
Like,
I think it is a better video game full stop, but 7 remake is just more important to you and I.
yeah, yeah.
It has
It gets
carries a lot more weight.
it gets the Zamora Award for
Yeah.
Game of the Year,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
more important to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, that game is just such a fantastic video game. Anyway,
Yeah.
Troy Baker as Joel just crushes it,
Yeah.
crushes it.
So good. And it's funny when you go back and you hear Snow's like rebel without a cause kind of like over the top playing the hero like kind of ham
Yeah, yeah.
dialogue. It's really funny to hear him. And it's just impressive that he can do both a Joel and a Snow and
Oh
be convincing in both, right?
man,
Um
like being a voice actor, like that's that man. It's pretty cool actually. Some of the stuff that Brianna White talks about of like how it's hard. Like
yeah, I
and
can't even imagine.
I remember her talking about whether it was on a stream at one point or something, but like um she'd do a line and they'd say like, can you do that again? There's like a click between these two words that you need to kind of iron out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna redline on the recording, and so just like trying to figure out how to like a voice coach and enunciating
Yeah.
properly, and it's just
And
like, oh,
taking a note and knowing what that means in terms of what that means your voice has to sound like,
oh.
you know.
And it's funny because on her stream she'll be talking Brianna and then like go into Aerith mode, and it's like a complete
Yeah.
vocal change, and like and just like a perfect sound, it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, like that's
That
talent.
that's
Yeah.
why I love watching Critical Role so much, is because they're all voice actors and they can
Mhm.
all do that while they're playing their D&D game. Like
Yeah.
the Matt Mercer does like 30 voices in a night of all these different characters, and they're all like, he always finds like, one time he did, it was like there's like these sort of like turtle, like humanoid turtle great race of creatures in the D&D world. I forget what
Yeah.
they're, turtles or something. I don't remember what they're called. Something. He was one of them. He was uh Scottish, and he had a stutter, and he was a pirate. And he just did, it's like, yeah, okay, like sure, make that a character, and he just does it flawlessly, and it's like, oh my god, it's, yeah. And like just to watch the people at the table light up when they see him doing this like new voice or something that he came up with or whatever, it's just like, oh, it's just,
Yeah.
it's so much. That's the fun of watching that show.
and and that's where like, Erica Lindbeck gets like so much praise, like because I know she does a million things.
Yes, she does it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I have so much respect for that, and jealousy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me
um
to do a voice for a character? Okay, it will be my voice, and that's about it.
yeah.
There's this really
Hope you
good.
like my voice, because that's gonna be the voice of the character.
There's this really good. Like I think it was Vanity Fair did a video with, what's her name? Sarah Natacheni or something. I forget her last name. It's Sarah something. She does the voice of Ash from Pokemon on the
Oh, okay.
show, and
Yeah.
she just like showed how they dub a scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they just did a scene like start to finish kind of show, and it's like it's anyone that like I watch interviews of, especially on Critical Role, because a lot of them do anime as well. It's like voice over boot camp because you can't
Mm.
just come in and like figure out the character. It's like no, you need to say this, and it has to be this many syllables because it has to match
Yep.
their mouth flaps or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's super interesting to watch, like how because she's got to
Uh,
watch the video and look at the lines and try and like match them up with that, and it's
so cool.
crazy. Yeah, it's such a
Uh,
cool job, but I know it's like insanely difficult. So yeah, they get all the respect I can give them because man,
oh
they,
man, like when the credits roll and it's like, oh, the voice actors, like, the game devs, but it's like, look, obviously game devs 100%, but like voice acting, especially the sheer number of lines, like just going
yeah,
through FF16 and just like how many hours of dialogue had to be recorded. And I'm sure I didn't get it in the first take for every single one,
yeah,
so
and they're if they're doing motion capture, they got those big helmets on, so it's not like super comfortable the whole time, and
oh,
yeah,
damn, mad respect for all that for sure.
yeah. Because like think about how much it adds to
Mm,
these games that we play, at least like especially like story driven games. Like it's nothing without voices. Like if a
yeah,
game came out from a AAA studio, like if the next Final Fantasy had no voice work, it was just all text, it would be a riot. We're like, what is
yeah.
this? What is this trash? Like,
This is a numbered Final Fantasy game with no
yeah,
voice acting. Like, what
yeah.
the hell?
So it's just
Um,
yeah, it's crazy.
it's funny too. I was thinking about this where, like, it's funny how as technology evolves, jobs become like jobs are created. Like,
Sure.
these kind of jobs were not a thing in the SNES era. Like,
Right.
it's just um
Yeah.
as technology evolves now, it's like these studios need to spend. Yeah, and this is what I don't understand. Like, games were, let's say a new game for SNES um was $70. New game for PS5, yeah, more or less $70.
Sure.
Maybe 90,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's just like, how are they? It's like there's so many more jobs needed to make this happen. Maybe it's market share. I don't know. I mean, the
Well, and I
market's
think it's
bigger.
just yeah, I think the market like the amount of copies of a game will sell now is a lot more. So I'm sure
And
that's
that's
a part of
probably
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Because
anyway,
anyway, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how those people do it, but I'm so glad they do, and I'm baffled by how they do it. It's crazy.
but yeah, so next summer,
Yes.
yeah, you've got so, well, I guess, sorry, FF7 Rebirth is
It's
spring, I guess.
winter. It's winter 2023, which could mean up to like April.
Like,
Like because it'd be like within the first quarter
yeah, yeah.
of next year.
Remake came out in March 2020.
Originally March, but it got pushed to April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm
Uh,
expecting it probably March. I'm sure they targeted March because it's the end of their fiscal year.
mm,
You know what I mean? So they probably want. I feel like March is a date that some of these companies will aim for for the books,
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
some way. So if it's ready by then, I think they'll plan for March.
Oh man.
There's Gamescom coming up this month, so we might get a new trailer because
Ooh.
it's another big event. And then Tokyo Game Show, I feel like, is in September or October. That will for sure have a new trailer.
Can't wait.
And then we'll probably get one at the Game Awards in December. So I'd say we got at least like three. I mean, Remake had like a good like 5 or 6 like solid 4-minute trailers or whatever in its
Oh,
lead up. So yeah,
I mean, oh, just playing 16, if they incorporate, oh man, I mean, I'm sure there'll be stuff that they'll incorporate from that anyway. I can't wait for Rebirth.
Even just improving the systems of 7 remake, like, you
Yeah,
know what I
oh
mean,
yeah,
like, because like
yeah,
that's the thing that I knew that this one was going to be a really ambitious game, is they figured out how to just like make a game in this format with 7 remake. That was like proof of concept,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
how do you handle combat? How do you handle casting
yeah,
spells? How do you handle ATB? How do you handle limit breaks? How do you handle party switching? Like,
yeah.
so it's like they figured that out now. So now it's just like, all right, now let's just take
Run with
that
it.
and
Yeah.
like do all kinds of crazy new shit within that system, right?
Like
Um,
remake, they had to reinvent the wheel. Now that the
yes.
wheel's been reinvented, they've got and considering the time delay between the two games, like they've got plenty of time to take said reinvented wheel
Yeah.
and make just like a effing epic,
Yeah. Like,
sequel.
because probably half of the time, if not more, of the development, from the start to release of remake, was figuring out how do we make this. What kind of game is this going to be? Like, how is
Yeah.
it? How is the combat? Is it real time? Is it turn based? Like, so much of that had to be done first, and now that that's done, it's just building on those foundation, right? Yeah, it's
Oh
gonna
man,
be insane.
sidebar. Something that I might watch immediately after we finish recording. Do you remember there was a trailer and it was for FSM remake, and it was like it was a Japanese trailer, and it was like uh a sister or something who remembered like her brother playing FF7, uh
Yeah.
like a trailer. It was like 5 minutes or something.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember
Because it
that.
was like two people like in a bar and they were
Yeah.
kind of reminiscing or something. Holy crap. Like, I mean, oh, FF7 remake is gonna zone in on the nostalgia aspect
Yeah.
of, oh, big surprise.
Yeah.
But oh, I'm gonna watch that after we're done. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about it. That is where I was just like, if this game is not everything I want it to be, nothing makes sense in
Yeah.
the world anymore.
Yeah.
And then it like, you know, jumped over that
Yeah.
line. But
Which is why I'm even more excited about Rebirth and less worried. Because the worry in
yeah,
going into remake was like, man, how can they pull this off? There's no way this game is good because of
yeah,
all the shit that could go wrong.
yeah.
And then how good it was, like, okay, I'll play whatever you do. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. I will play it. I don't care. Like, that's like they've earned it.
Here's a blank check for mayhem.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man. And it's PS5 exclusive, so it's gonna just, you know, like squeeze every ounce out of that. It's on 2 discs, which
Oh,
is like insane. I think Last of Us 2 had an install and a play disc, but I can't remember many other games that also did that. But yeah,
like knowing
it's gonna be
knowing
huge.
the capacity of the PS5. I remember when we watched that trailer together, I was just like, 2 disc, what the crap.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Make
and I
room
mean,
on your hard drives because it's gonna
oh
be big.
god, I'll buy 2 PS5s and delete everything, all of them off it if I have to. um I remember like for what FF16 is able to do with just like a 1 disc whatever. um Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
It'll be
it's gonna be
awesome.
off the walls for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got enough Final Fantasy tangents.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So summer games.
Moving on, summer games. Um, so two things that I was thinking of that I was kind of laughing at myself for how much more complicated I made this for myself. So we talked about like Metroid Prime before on this podcast, and we love Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime 3, when it was coming out, came out in the summer. And
Oh, really?
yeah. And I was super pumped for that because just like I feel like it was delayed, or I think there was 1 or 2 delays. So we had a lot of info about it, but it kept getting pushed out.
Yep.
And so just like the build up for that. And that was coming out by that point, like like I had established sites that I would go to for gaming news, and like
Okay.
gametrailers.com was one I used like religiously. And so I had like a good drip feed of I wasn't reliant on a magazine anymore. It was like I could
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
stuff
You had
online.
content.
Yeah. And so it was like a week that mom and Clarence were gone, probably camping or something. But it was like the week before school started, when I was at NBCC, when I was in college. And um, so I had grandma. So grandma and Leon were staying uh, at the house because sometimes they would do that when mom and Clarence would go away because they
Yeah.
had friends in the area and they lived in PEI. So
Yeah.
it was just easier for them to
Home
sort of
base for
use
them.
home base at our parents' house. And I was still living there at the time. And so she was up there for the week. So I begged her to like just bring me to the mall to pick up this game. And obviously she had no problem doing that. But this was back when like Nintendo shipments would sometimes only arrive at like noon. Like it wouldn't be they wouldn't get the game the day before and get ready for release the next day. It was like
Right.
sometimes they would only get the Nintendo shipment at like noon on
Mm.
like whatever like Saturday. It
Launch
was like
day.
whatever day it
Yeah.
was. And so we were there in the morning and didn't have it yet. So we just were doing stuff in the mall, and she had to go because I think she was going to meet someone for lunch, and then whatever. And I was like, okay, like don't worry, like I can take the bus home,
Yeah.
like not a big deal. Like, and I want that, like I'm gonna stay and wait
I'm
for
gonna
this
stick
game.
around until yeah.
Yeah. So and she's like, okay, like call me if you just need me to come get you or something. And I was like, it's fine. Like she was nice enough to stay
Get
with
you there.
me and get me there. So I was like, don't worry about it. I'll just take the bus. It's no problem. So finally got the game. Probably it was like noon or 1 or something. And then, so here's the thing with the buses where Matt and I grew up. They fucking suck. They are awful. At least they were. They may have gotten better. But like, it's not the bus itself, but it's like the route for us to take the bus. We had to walk like 2.5 kilometers to
Yep.
get to where the bus drove by. And it would only go like
Once an hour, maybe.
it was like maybe on the weekend it was like more, but during the week it was like 3 times for the day or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe more than three,
Yeah.
but like 5 or 6 times
Yeah.
throughout the day.
We'll say like morning, noon, and night. One per.
Yeah, something like that. So it's just like it was like every couple of hours or something like that. Um, so got the game, and I don't remember how much time I had to wait for the bus. Um, but it wasn't immediate, so I had to sit there with this game in my lap,
Waiting. Yeah.
waiting. Took the bus, and it like so it's hard to explain that to someone that doesn't know the area we live in, but so our road was like 2.5 kilometers to where there was an intersection where the bus would go by. But some of the buses didn't go that way. They went further up like a side street.
Oh,
And you like, down for you, it'd be like down where towards Memram Cook. Some of the buses would go way up there.
way up. I mean, oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you had to get off on that street, which was like another, half a kilometer or something.
Yeah.
And then walk up, and then the 2.5 kilometers, uphill to where our parents' house is.
Yeah.
And it's back then anyway, it was like not a very like finished road. It was very like slanted, and like it was, not well paved or whatever. But of course, uh they like just paved half of it, like
Yeah.
the day before all this happened or something. And so I'm walking back, and so it's way hotter than it will be because it's like fresh pavement. And I had these shitty sandals because I was expecting to walk, right? We were just going to the mall.
Yeah.
I had these shitty sandals that were falling apart because I'm trying to walk fast, right? Because I'm just like excited to play this game. And like one of my sandals just breaks, like the piece between, and I was like, because I think they were like flip flops. And I was like, "The fuck!" And because it was like I kept tripping over them, whatever. I was like, "Fuck these things!" So I like
Yeah.
took them off, and I was like, "I'm walking barefoot. I don't give a shit." So I was like walking barefoot all the way back home in like the middle of a summer day on this like fresh
Hot
pavement.
tar. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I brought my cell phone because at that point I don't even know if I had my own cell phone.
Yeah.
So I couldn't just call grandma to come. Can you drive 30 seconds and come get me? Like I didn't
No, of
have a way of
course, no.
calling her.
No way you could reach her.
So I just had to walk up this. And by the time I got home, my feet hurt so much.
Oh,
And
I
they
bet.
were black for like a week. It was they were just like coated in tar. I remember I had to get like, and like I could barely walk on them. Like my feet, they were so sore. Um, and I remember I had to get like an ice cold like foot bath and like set up like, I'm still playing this game, but let me just get this foot bath first. So like my first like couple hours of playing Metroid Prime 3, I had my feet in like an ice cold bucket of water.
That's
It's
funny
like,
because I like these stories because this is a blind spot for me
yeah, because you
because
were
I
in
was away
Edmonton
at
at this point.
university. Yeah, I was probably in
Probably.
grad school. Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely was because that winter I came home and you had your Prime 3 was
Yeah.
one of the games I had to play
Yeah.
that winter. So no, that was a total blind spot for me. I didn't even know that
Yeah.
story.
I was so
Uh,
determined to play this
where
game.
where was it in the mall? Was it Toys R Us or Walmart or
Uh, I think it was EB. We had an EB Games by that
oh,
point.
okay, it was EB. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I was checking the other places to see if they got theirs yet because I would have
Yeah.
just canceled my pre-order and went and bought it somewhere else. But
Yeah.
no one had it. And they all said, "Oh, it'll be at least noon." It's like, okay, I'll just wait for EB then.
That's when the FedEx guy comes around or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I
Oh, cool.
fucking I like I remember I'm surprised grandma was not more worried for how badly I was walking. Like I could barely stand on my feet and I was like cuz I'm saying this because I'm like if she says we have to like go to the doctor or the I was like no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Just give me some water. I just got to rehydrate my feet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was like ready to have that argument, but I don't think she just didn't probably notice how that they were jet black underneath.
Yeah.
And like even walking up our driveway, like
It's not
it's not paved.
no, no, exactly.
It's like
That's
loose rocks.
gravel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gravel.
Yeah.
So it was just like when they're already like sore from walking on
Yeah. That's probably the worst
fresh
part,
pavement.
really.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was when I think of Metroid Prime, I cannot help but think of the struggle of getting that game, using the shitty bus rotation to get back, and then walking barefoot for like 2.5 kilometers on a freshly paved road.
We have it too easy now. We have yeah, the physical pain we had to endure
Yeah.
for games back then.
Yeah. And then sort of similarly, there was one summer. I don't know if it was that same summer. I feel like it was. It might have been. It might because it was before I was working full time, and before I had a car. But so we had like a video store called Rogers Video, and
Where
uh,
was that again?
so it's like it was like in front of the mall on. Was it
Oh, yep, yep, yep.
Dieppe? No,
Champlain Boulevard, maybe?
Champlain Boulevard or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Where like the restaurant and stuff, Swiss
yeah,
Chalet and stuff was. It was in
yeah,
that building.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there was one summer they had this like sort of like coupon book, and it was like $30 to buy it or whatever, but it
Mhm.
had like, rent one game, get a second one free, a free bag of Doritos with rental,
Yeah.
free 7-day rental if you rent something
Rent
else or
a
like
new
a
release
new
movie or
release
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it had, and like it genuinely had like enough value for like whatever
Oh
it
yeah.
costed. But this is before I had a car. So
Yeah.
if I wanted to, because I had the coupons with me, and I
And
wouldn't.
when was this?
It was it was either between like Mount A years or NBCC years. It was
Okay.
like in that time frame. Um, excuse me. And so I would, if I wanted to go rent one, because like our parents worked till like 5 o'clock every day or whatever, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't want to drive me back in rush hour to rent a game and come home.
Yeah.
So I would like, and I was home all day, so I'd have to like, all right, like
Getting to the
here's
bus.
yeah, gotta get to the bus. When does it arrive? Oh, in 2 hours. Sweet. I gotta
Yeah.
leave like at least an hour before that, so I have enough time to, in case they go to the other road or whatever. And
Yeah.
so I'd have to like walk all the way there, take the bus, then like from the bus would go to the mall, and it wasn't far to get to the video store. It was just up the road. But like go there, get my stuff that I wanted, and then, oh, when's the next bus? Cool, 3 hours. Nice. I can just chill in the mall for a while. God damn it. And then get the bus, and then take the long road up and walk up there and walk 3 kilometers back to our house or whatever. So it'd be like a 6 hour. It'd be like the day, pretty
Well, the whole
much.
day is gone to go rent an effing game.
Yeah. But it was like, I think it was probably the summer between Mount A years, because I didn't have a summer job those years. So I was sitting home with nothing to do, and so
Yeah,
like that's
and
what I
I was
figured
in
out.
Edmonton, so yeah, I was,
Yeah,
this is another blind spot for me.
yeah, yeah. But I used like, I went. The only coupons I didn't use were like, I feel like they had. I can't remember now, but there was stuff you could buy there that I had no interest in. That wasn't like snacks, or it might have been like merchandise, or
Sure, yeah, yeah,
stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna use it for that stuff. So like stuffed, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
not dolls, but like stuffed things from movies, or and there was coupons about that kind of stuff. But any of them that were like renting a movie or game related. And I think the one I bought was like specifically games. Like I think it was all game related
You definitely
things.
got your money's worth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
my
all that.
exercise
Yeah,
from
yeah, because
doing
no,
those.
it's 2.2 kilometers from our house to the
Yeah,
end of the Blanc. Let alone if you've got to go
if you
down.
gotta
I mean,
go the extra,
yeah,
yeah. Usually getting to the mall, because it would go up that way, but then come around and go past the end of our street. It
yeah,
was just on the way back. You'd get there faster if you just got off at that first stop,
did the
because
little walk.
they'll be up like 15 minutes, 20 minutes going up further that
Yeah,
way or whatever. So it was annoying, but it was faster to just get out there.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I did that walk a lot that summer.
Yeah, no, it's not a short walk at all. Like,
No.
yeah,
Like, and just the weird times of the buses. Like I said, it was like an all day affair, pretty much.
yeah.
Um,
It was like the most limited route of the city bus
yeah,
system. Yeah, yeah. We live middle of nowhere.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so luckily, when it was like time to return them, I could just give those to mom, and she could drop them off
drop them
like on
off.
the
Yeah,
way or whatever, because she didn't need the coupon. She just had to drop the movie off, or the game rather.
yeah.
But it was just when I wanted one, it was like, okay, well,
Let's
let's start this
plan the day.
journey. Yeah.
And it's not like you had a phone to load it up with stuff to watch on
No,
the bus or
or
anything.
stuff.
Yeah,
I think I still had an iPod Mini. Was it Mini? There was a normal iPod, and then the smaller one. I don't know if that was Mini or if that was something
I think it was
else.
mini. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That with
Okay.
the still the wheel and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Nano was the then smaller, slimmer ones. But
Yeah.
I definitely had one of those two iPods at that point, because I remember.
And especially like killing time at the mall. Is there anything more like, childhood memory than that? And just like,
I
oh, I guess
know.
gonna dick around the mall for 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got I know the route that I'm gonna walk
Yeah.
and what places I'm gonna pop into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man. Yeah, that was when we did, because we didn't have cars. I didn't have a car until after college, until I started working. So I
Okay.
couldn't just drive. You had one briefly, but then when you were at Mount A, I don't think you took it.
No, no.
No.
I had one like the last 2 years of high school, but then I didn't bring it with me to
Right.
college.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
because like the insurance was going to be way too much
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, yeah. To put it
Yeah.
on our parents' plan or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we just didn't have a car for a lot of that. One that just came to me, I didn't even write this down, but we may have talked about this before, but I remember your friend Angus
Yeah.
one summer was just at our house a lot,
Yeah.
and just not in a bad way. And I just remember you had that summer CD mix, and it was bookended with Mega Man X5 intro theme.
Yeah. It
That
was
like
like
minute
Matt.
and a half, intro song.
Oh man, no, because yeah, Angus would come by my place all the time, and we would go just driving, and it was like we need a CD to cruise around in the
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah.
And it was like Matt and Angus's disco uh, frisbee disc nos jam mix. Like it was like Fast and Furious, like disc nos,
Yeah, yeah.
amazing nos. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Um, and no, it wasn't just bookended. It had the Mega Man X5
Was it
theme.
in the middle too?
Oh yeah, at the beginning, it began and ended with that, and I was like, "This is not enough."
Yeah.
The opening jam to Mega Man X5 is so baller. This has to be in there at least 3 times. It may have been 4, but it was just like cruising jam. Oh, Mega Man X5. Here we go.
Yeah. That's a vivid memory that
And
I
no, and
think of.
that's a great summer reference because that was the summer him and I met at like a leadership conference or something, and just kind of um
Yeah, because it was it when you were on student council? No, because
yeah, it
I
was
thought.
because I was on student like um I was on student council in grade 11 at Moncton High, and then he was president of Tantramar High School.
Right.
And I met him at like this student council New Brunswick thing.
Yeah.
And then just like texted him or whatever. MSN
Yeah.
Messenger,
Yeah.
ICQ number or something like that. But hey, man, like you're like Sackville's actually not that far away. Like, do you want to come up to Moncton and like just hang? And he was like, hey, I met you at this conference, but yeah, hey, sure, why the hell not?
Sure.
And he came over, and then you and I was like, oh man, like check this out. Like check out this game, Mega Man X5, and we played the opening, and like he kind of didn't really say anything, and then it ended, and he just like burst into like tears of laughter, of just like that's the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I was like, I know, right? Like, and then when I put it on the CD the next time we went cruising, I was like, oh man, I have a cruising mix ready to go. Put that in. And if anyone's played Mega Man X5, you know exactly the theme I'm talking about. And he was just like lost his mind. I was like, this is our theme of the summer.
Oh my god.
Oh man. It was just like, and then it came on again. He was like, you put it on multiple tracks? And it's like, well, I don't have to rewind to the beginning or go to track 1 every single time. This song's incredible. And it's like 45 seconds long. Like,
yeah, it's such a short song. Yeah.
Oh man. No,
Yeah,
that's summer. That's summer for sure.
That's a good summer memory. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's a good memory.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all that I could think of. Mainly. Those are the ones that definitely came front of mind when we're talking about our summer memories, because they all revolve mostly around our camping time, camping, weekends and stuff. But yeah, that Metroid Prime one, I forgot you weren't around for that, so I've never.
I'm glad to get
just
experience that story for the first time.
Foot bath playing, and then because I remember there's like in that game, there's like motions to it, right? Like you have to whip the nunchuck to do this. And I remember I had to like be careful not to like knock
Splashing.
or like not to knock the bucket over.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, summer woes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
uh,
it's funny too. This weekend, just for a full circle, we had like one day was super crazy rainy and one day was really, really sunny. And it's kind of like it just reminded me of like the two internal conversations I always have with myself in the summer. Like when it's sunny outside, it's like, oh, I really should do something outside.
sure.
Fuck it. Whatever. I play games all day. I don't care. Close the window. Like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Or just like, looks like it could rain out there. Probably should
Probably
just
should just
play
play
some
some
games.
games.
Yeah. And it's like, yep, it's super raining. It's like crazy deluge outside. I made the right call. I'm just playing games all day. Yeah. I made the right choice. This is a responsible decision. I'm glad I canceled those plans.
Yeah, you feel
know?
validated.
Yeah. But anyway, love
Cool.
a good summer gaming session.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anything else came to mind when you were telling that. I think I covered most of what I wanted to. Any other last thoughts that trickled in for you?
No, just you've kind of some new stuff that kind of reminded me of like summer gaming, the sweet beautiful time between like final tests or final exams and high
feeling
school.
like it's gonna be forever till you see your friends again, and it's like 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know exactly. And it's like, man, just you wake up in the morning, like have cereal. It's like I don't have to go to school. I can just play games with Garrett all day, and like and that's all we would do. Just
especially once we were old enough that our parents would just let us stay home all day.
Yeah.
Once we got to that point, we wouldn't have to go to like a babysitter or something for the day.
And
Which I feel like they let us do that pretty early on. I don't think we were super old before they were comfortable with us just staying home.
I bet you like I feel like I was in grade 4 or something when they kind of started letting us do that. But,
it was very early. So
yeah. And just be like, cook some alphagetti for lunch and like whatever. Let's just keep playing games. Load up Street Fighter 2 or something. You know, like we'll just do that all day, every day. So anyway, good memories, and especially with the kind of summer vibes going on right now, and in Canada, it definitely feels super summery. So this is great. This is awesome.
Okay, I think that'll do it then for this episode. We'll once I'm done recording, I'll find out exactly where you are in 16, and we'll figure out how long we got until we can do that episode. So that may be based on where I think you are. That'll probably be our next episode is an FF16 spoiler talk. And then I should have another side quest episode, hopefully up next weekend at some point. Maybe mid next week, depending on when we get to record. But so that'll be some Elden Ring talk. So if anyone is into those games, we're gonna have a good conversation about that because I have a lot to say about how insanely good that game is and how much it kicked the shit out of me for many hours. But yeah, it was great. So keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps a lot. And if you haven't checked out our last side quest episode with Purple Shala, we had some really good talk about a lot of video game music. I had a lot of fun with that interview. So definitely worth checking out if anyone hasn't seen that yet. And
Purple Shala, you had me hit the name, so
I know, right? Yeah, very obvious Chrono Trigger fan.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Thanks again, Matt. We kind of threw this together a little quick because we wanted to get a recording in sooner rather than later. So I appreciate you making time. And follow us on the socials, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Beauty. Thanks everyone.
All right, bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.